Dear friends, my name is Mohammed Ashfaq. I work for Lord's Institute of Engineering in the department, Lord's School of Business, in the Department of Management. I work as an assistant professor taking management subjects for the MBA first year and second year. Today we will be talking about marketing management, which is one of the core subjects for MBA first semester students. Before we talk about marketing management, understand what is marketing. Marketing is a social and managerial process by which individuals and groups obtain what they need and want in terms of creating and exchanging values with the others. So as per Dr. Philip Kotler, who is the father of marketing, he has defined marketing as it's a science and art of exploring and creating ideas and in the terms of satisfying the needs to the target market at a profit rate. So whatever product, when you are trying to establish that in the market, you are trying to generate a profit out of it. So we call that as marketing. The simple model of marketing process is that we need to understand the marketplace first. What is the marketplace? Is where you get your things which are required for the consumer. So a marketplace can be, it could be a need, it could be a want, or it could be a demand. What is a need? Need are the basic things which are required for a consumer. Want might be numerous things which are required, but it might not be a necessity for a consumer to actually purchase it. So when you talk about needs, need could be a dairy product, it could be bread, it could be rice, it could be vegetables and so on. While the want of the market is, there are different markets, like you're trying to have for yourself like cosmetics or maybe shoes or clothing and all these are your wants. Your wants is not your need, but it's a requirement which you could buy out at a later stage. Then when you talk about needs and want, whether there is a demand for those products which are already in the market or not, you will try to identify through the demand. Then what happens in the marketing process is that you're trying to identify the marketing strategies. How do you select your customers and what is your target market? How do you select your customers? For example, if you have a product, you need to know who is your customer, which location, what is the geographic location in terms of segmentation process. The segmentation process for your for the product that you are trying to buy out, it could be due to the demographic factors, it could be the geographic factors, or it could be psychographic, or it could be a behavioral factor. These are the ways how you try to select your customer based on the market segmentation. Then once you segment your market, you will have to target your customers. Your customer target is very important for any product. For example, if you talk about a Nike shoes, which is targeting to a consumer at an age group of 5 to 10 years, but your target market is the boys who are at that stage, but your target audience will be the parents of those kids. When you are talking about the next stage in the marketing process model is the plan of the program, which are the 4 P's of marketing. That's nothing but product, price, place, promotion. Then once we define the 4 P's of marketing, we try to build a relation with the customer, because now that the customer has already taken the product which is available in the market and which is satisfied with that, you start building a relationship, because when you start building a relationship for any product, you're actually trying to generate a revenue out of that, because that will be your future customer and ideal customer. What happens once you have your future and ideal customer is you're trying to see the growth of your organization and also making sure that you have profits generated from your customer. Then we have the simple 5-step marketing process, where we are talking about how to understand the marketplace, and in terms of that, how you are trying to create the need and want of your customer. Then once you understand the marketplace, then you are trying to design a marketing driven strategy for that. And the third process is how you try to plan and accordingly evaluate your customers, and then you build a proper profitable relationship with your customers, and then you capitalize and value your customer. Then we talk about we have what is marketing management. Then we are talking about what is a market. What is a market? Market is nothing but, as per, it's a Latin word where we talk about marketus. It's derived from a place. And what happens in a market? It's a trading place where any transactions can happen. Initially, what was happening is people were assuming that marketing is nothing but it's selling and selling. But the whole concept is not now changed, and now market is defined as it's a place where you're talking about selling and reselling. That's what we are talking about in the market. Then there are different types of market. You talk about consumer market, you talk about business market, you talk about global market, and there are non-institutional and government bodies who talk about and get segregated in a different market. In the consumer market, what you're talking about is basically related to consumers or the end users. There are different products where we differentiate that based on soft drink, cosmetic, travel industry. All these are comes under business market. And then business market we have is Amazon, Flipkart, Google. All these are business market where you're talking to the business directly to the consumer. So it's talking about business to consumer market. Then we have global markets where international companies like Apple, Samsung, Oppo, all these have come into existence, and they are taking a global market into other international countries. Then we have non-profit or government organizations where you have universities, charities, and government agencies who are trying to differentiate that market as a separate one, talking about government profit market. Then we have the main thing which in marketing mix, which is the marketing mix, which is the foundation model of business, any business. So when you start any business, you need to identify what is your product. Once you have your product, you will have to identify and make sure what price you're going to give it, and then you need to know where you're trying to promote or place your product, and then you understand what is the promotion strategies that you try to adopt in that. We will go one by one more detail into the marketing mix of the marketing management. What happens in marketing mix initially with the first P of product is the future, the quality, the branding, the packing, and the services. That's what is covered in the product management. When you talk about branding, branding is nothing but it's the next stage after the product. For example, you have a product which is for example like a tomato that's existing in a market. So tomato is a product and ketchup is a brand for you. So we try to differentiate between a product and a brand. So now that once you have your product in the market, then you need to accordingly understand what would be the pricing strategy that you will adopt it, and how you price it, how you give the discounts, how you give the allowances, and what are your payment terms for your suppliers and distributors. Once you understand your price, you will have to make sure how you place your product, in which location, in which segment, and what is your inventory and transportation procedures for your placing your product. Once you finish the placing of your product, then you are talking about the promotion of your product, how you promote your product, whether it could be through the advertising, it could be through sales relation, it could be through public relation, or it could be through direct marketing. So these are the 4 P's of marketing mix which we understand. We will go more detail into each of the product and see out what happens in that. So as you see in the slide, we are talking about what is product. Products are nothing but it's the benefit of the product and services that you give out to your customer. Price is, it should be priced in such a way that you cover the cost of your goods that you're actually manufacturing at the manufacturing place. Production and planning is place is nothing but where the product is actually sold and how easily you are making this accessible to your consumer. Promotion is when you try to increase the visibility of your product and service. You try to do a promotion where customer get attracted and the usage and exposure will be more in order to increase your profits. How do you define product? Product is nothing but it is added value to the customer. There are different decisions that are being made when you're trying to understand and make the product available to the market. How you do that is through branding, packaging, quality, appearance, functionality, installation, and warranties. Warranties are more applicable for service projects where you try to give out the warranty to a specific product. What happens in place is that once you have the product which is already defined and available in the market, you as a marketing person will have to identify what price you are going to list out in terms of the pricing decision. So what happens is that you need to identify the MRP of the price based on the revenue generated and the cost of manufacturing the goods. So the product pricing is based most only on the cost of manufacturing the goods. Once you understand the MRP, then you will probably make sure whether you will have to add any discounts and pricing strategies, whether it's a new product where you are trying to penetrate into the market or you are trying to do a skimming in the pricing. So based on that, you price your product for that. The next 4 P's of marketing is the place. Once you have established your product and you know what is your price of your product, then you need to understand where do you want to place your product, because the customer market might be huge. So you will have to make sure where exactly you want to place your product and how do you want to send your product. It could be the different logistic channels, it could be the different distribution channels. How do you pack your product? How do you cover your market? When you talk about distribution channel in terms of place, you're talking about whether you want to sell your product directly from a manufacturer to a retailer as a consumer, or whether you want to sell your product directly from a manufacturer to a distributor, then to a retailer and to a consumer, or you are doing a direct marketing which could be from a manufacturer directly to a retailer. So this is the place of distribution that happens in the 4 P's of marketing mix. The last but not the least is the promotional activity which we are talking about. In order to persuade the future prospect, you need to make sure that the promotion is properly done by making these activities applicable. How you do your promotion mix for your product is by advertising, by sales promotion, by personal selling, public relation, and direct marketing. Depending upon what product you are actually applicable and what product you are trying to sell in your market, you will have to understand and make the promotion mix strategy based on that. If it's a consumer durable product where you are trying to target to the mass audience, then you will have to go through the advertising, which could be a broadcasting in the television media. Or if your product is mainly applicable to mass audience, then it could be a public relation where you're trying to promote your a product using the various means, like some sports and events like FIFA or Olympics and all that, where Coca-Cola normally projects its market in those atmospheres. So those are the different promotions mix what you adopt. There is also direct marketing. What happens here is that you're trying to sell out email shots or SMS to most of your customers, where directly they receive out messages informing about the different products they have it, and if there is any new scheme in terms of the price. So we try to promote these things through the different strategies. Then apart from that, in the year 1981, the 4 P's were expanded into 7 P's of marketing, which they tried to adopt the people, the process, and the physical evidences. Apart from the 4 P's, which is product, price, place, promotion, we added people, process, and physical evidences. What happened in the people process is that it was very important to make sure that we train and the right people at the right time, so that we deliver the proper goods to the customers. So that's why people training was more important. Then in between, what happened is that there was a process that was adopted in the marketing mix, so as to understand and not to avoid any mistakes and minimum cost that were applicable, so the maximum profits were generated. Then physical evidences. In order to have physical evidences, especially in the service industry where we were talking about the warranties on all that, so we require a physical evidences in the form of customers, so that he is satisfied or not. So we added physical evidences in the marketing mix. Now we will do a case study, simple case study about one of the product, which is Coca-Cola. We are trying to define out the different marketing mix used in Coca-Cola in terms of product promotion, price promotion, and distribution. Coca-Cola was actually started in the year 1892. They had more than 500 brands in the portfolio. Apart from that, they have more than 3,900 beverages options in the product mix. That was the main product strategy which they adopted. And then the main brand they had, Coca-Cola, was the main branch they had it. And then they had Sprite, which is another brand. It was more lemon flavored. And then they had Fanta, which was more created in 1940. It comes as a signature brand, which was in the orange flavor. Then we had the Diet Coke and Coca-Cola Zero, that were more related to sugar-free and calorie-free products they have established. So this is basically the product. When we talk about the pricing strategy that Coca-Cola has adopted, is that because it was a very oligopoly market, the selling price was quite feasible for consumers to buy it. And then Coca-Cola and Pepsi were competitors to each other, so they have priced the product in such a way that they were segmenting to the same market. Especially India is such a place where the prices are very competitive for the consumers. So if any consumer sees a price differentiation between the competitive brand, naturally the consumer will focus to another brand. So that's why we need to make sure that the price of your product should be very reasonable in terms of the competitors. Then when we talk about the place of Coca-Cola promotion, which happened, it was started in 130 years before. So now Coca-Cola is placed in more than 200 countries across the region, and the main pricing strategies they are trying to target to more than 2.5 million stores we have in Indian location, and it's distributed to various channels like distribution channel or retailer, distributor, or directly to consumer as well. And they are also targeting to mainly to hotels and restaurants. When you talk about promotions for Coca-Cola, since it's a standard brand, so it tries to use advertising as a branding concept for that. And Coca-Cola mainly is promoting the products also on the public relation events, while like especially on the American Idols, then it's trying to promote its products through Asian Games, Olympic Games, FIFA World Cup, and others. And they also mainly promote the product using television advertisement, which is largely circulated throughout the world. And they also do some sort of campaigning, which initially they have done, like the Taste of Feeling in India in March 2016. They also did a Share to Care Coke in Australia, that was in year 2001, where they try to establish and promote the product through the branding and promotion. Then in the conclusion, what we are trying to identify in the case study is that Coca-Cola not only established the 4 Ps of marketing to a great extent, but they have covered all the territorial, product related, pricing related, geographic location, as well as the continued items that were existing in the market. With that, I would like to thank everyone for watching my video. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.